Top of the morning. Hello. Let's talk about prayers today. Let's talk about the Black Mom's prayers today. I'm cooking. Thoughts are flowing through my head. And it seemed to be some kind of clouded misunderstanding of why, or an idea why Black women are so angry, frustrated, angry Black woman, disrespected, this, that, the other. It seemed to be some foggy lines between all of these issues that are bubbling up and trying to heal itself. It's like the earth is going through its own dark night of the soul, and people are minimizing it and labeling it different things. But I'm going to talk about this in hopes to give some people clarity on what this is. And I hope that I don't start crying, because for me, and I also hope that I don't start yelling, because when I'm passionate about a thing, it can get like that. So a lot of times I'm going to compare it to white people in our current state. And because I'm not any other race currently while I'm in my body, I'm Black. To my understanding, knowledge, experience, and spiritual counsel, every race derived from Black. It's amazing to watch all of these other races excel from a race that they borrow from. And I have friends and some family in many cultures and races. So this is not to cause division, but if nothing else, it's to help bring understanding to a subject that people keep jumping over and acting like doesn't exist. And sometimes, most of the time, people always want the truth, but what they don't realize is that the truth comes sometimes with a lot of uncomfortability. And part of growing is getting through it. So the earth is telling the truth right now. Sometimes you can actually thank a narcissist for allowing you to see what's unhealed. Sometimes they trigger things that are just not healed. It's not addressed. I was talking to one of my friends a while ago about this when the George Floyd incident erupted everywhere. And I was trying to get her to understand, and she's white, and I was trying to get her to understand I can't believe I still feel this like this. I'm trying to calm down because I feel myself about to start yelling. All right. So think about a Black mom putting her kids to sleep. Think about a white mom putting their kids to sleep. You see it on TV all the time. You know, you see the white mom do a simple prayer because they've been brought up in a completely different environment. A large percentage of them. I'm not going to say all of them. But a large percent of their influence is brought up in an environment and a livelihood of safety. Prayers are different from people who come up in an environment that's opposite of that. So the white mom might say, and now I lay me down to sleep, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Because you're so confident in the fact that God loves you. I'm not saying that he doesn't, but I'm just trying to simplify this. I'm very confident about the fact that God loves you, and your prayers can be that simple. While the black mom might pray the same thing, but then goes in her room because she doesn't want her children to get upset at what their reality is, and pray a prayer like, Lord, please, if any shoots or fights break out, I pray that any stray bullets don't hit this house or any other. I pray that, people who may or may not like me and don't say anything don't come for me and my children in the middle of the night. You gotta pray to not be somebody's target. You gotta pray to not be somebody's target just because you black. I have no idea how that feels. Because you come from a race of powerful people. And our history is so hidden. And you gotta pray to not become a target of those that want to keep resuming borrowed power. Because God forbid you step into your power and know how powerful you are as a black queen and king. You just might overthrow everything. You might overthrow the whole earth. You pray for the black mom's prayer, the black mom's prayer. The white mother, when her kids leave for school in the morning, they get on a designated bus, and they pray that the kids make it through the day safely, and that the bus comes home, because their neighborhood and where they're governed is so protected. It's, even in or out the city, there's a privilege and a prestige that comes with just being your color, because that's what you took. You wanted to take that prestige, you borrowed it, and it's been forever embedded and repeated in every cycle of children that you recreated. The black mom's prayer is, Lord, I pray that when my children go to school in the morning, that they don't get bullied, or maybe neighborhood drug dealers don't get into a fight and my child get caught in a crossfire, or my family member, my brother, my cousin, my uncle, my sister, my aunt, my nephew, my niece. I pray that people who are so traumatized by their own experience and don't really have good instruction on how to move their feet forward don't get jealous and don't get envious and try to come after us. I don't care what color they are, but you specifically got to pray around your own, because the hate that was given to us, or we were preyed on with, we give birth to children who are exposed to that form of trauma. So they're born with a defense mechanism. It's in there somewhere. You see certain things, you hear certain things as a child being black, you become reactive to it. It could be your very first time. It's just like when just like when a child hears somebody curse. I was telling this to my mom a while ago. I said, a child can hear somebody curse and all of a sudden they just stand straight at attention. Something about them knows. But there's something else that goes in regards to that, in relation to chakra alignment. That's why when anybody hears a cuss word, they stand straight at attention. Even as an adult, it gets your attention. Maybe I'll do that in a different video. But anyway, the Black Mom's prayers are far different because it comes from a lineage of being traumatized. White people don't come from a lineage of being traumatized. They come from a lineage of being protected. Okay? And it's different. This is why when you watch movies, you might watch a scary movie and always wonder, well, why is the white person always going to the damn killer? Why are you walking towards the serial killer, dummy? Why are you not walking the other way? And then you see the black person get killed in the movie. It's constant embedding. And now here all over the internet, I see people putting memes up about, why is the computer asking me, am I a computer? It's because you are. The same story's been repeating itself and you've been helping it echo. And you tend to think that movies are just entertainment. They're not. They're embeddings. They're programs. You see it. You practice it. It becomes your reality. Why is it so difficult to understand? So on repeat, the same things keep happening. It's just, it remind me, I can't even think of what the name of this movie is with Tom Cruise. I was watching a part of it the other day. Something, something, repeat. Kept repeating the same thing. Kept repeating until he figured it out. Until he figured it out. The program kept repeating itself. As long as you don't stop and try to pull it apart, the program is going to continue to repeat itself. It's not that difficult to understand why people in the black community are so on the defense. We're not a dangerous, violent race. We're a race on the defense. So it's in us to fight back. Black people ain't thinking about white people when it comes to being violent. Don't nobody wake up in the morning, oh, I'm gonna hate these white people today. At least I don't. And the black people that I know don't. But they feel a defense and the need to protect themselves against a large few. A large few because of what's been embedded in them. And you think that you're not a computer. You think that you're not one of these people that have been programmed. You really think that? Y'all used to argue about gay people all of the time, whether they're born like that or whether they're taught that. Hello? It's both. And on top of that, what difference does it make? What difference does it make for you to even know if it's such a negative to you? What difference does it make? Why would you dissect something like that? Because a program is a program is a program, and that's it. And they pretty much do the same thing. They just write differently. But the mechanisms with every program is pretty much the same. There are rules, and when this part happens, that part happens, and that part happens. And why is it so hard to understand? I'm proud of myself for not cursing through this. You see racism, you see all these different issues, you see all these different instances, and you act as if. You act as if. And you partner with these people and don't have these conversations and act as if. And the more you don't have these conversations, the more these things come up. And the more people act as if. And then the acting as if becomes a reality. Or your reality, or their reality, or whatever reality. It doesn't even matter. And you continue to act as if. It happens in everything. It overlays itself in relationships. Romantically, it overlays itself in work. It overlays itself in So many different things. Whatever you can think of fill in that space. It doesn't matter. The Black Mom's prayer is very powerful, but it's very traumatized because it doesn't come from a peaceful place. It comes from a place of not wanting the trauma to repeat itself. And every time you see somebody say something about Black people, and every time we see a violent crime, it's one of those embeds or reminders that the virus is still loose in the computer. The whole world is a matrix floor. It's all a motherboard. It's an earth motherboard. Okay? It lights up underneath of what we can't see. It lights up. And every time you think you're getting the virus under control and you give it an anti-virus, anti-violence, right? Something will come up and slow it down a little bit and bring something to the forefront to let you know that there's still something tucked away inside of there, and that virus of violence comes up again, and you still don't think that we're on a program. All right. Okay. And so, as long as people continue to act as if things don't need to be addressed, they will not change. There's always a possibility that it can't. Matter of fact, the possibility that it can change is fully there. That's why these little, I don't even mean to call it little, that's why these reminders or these sudden jolts of trauma come up, and why kneeling on a man's neck is a modern day lynching. It's a reminder of the fake root that was created. It's not fake that our ancestors went through slavery. It's a falsehood that that was our beginning. If you let enough Black people, they would think that the race of Black people were born on boats. That anybody ever questioned where we came from and what life was like before the slave ships. One of them landed here. One of them landed right on the Delaware. And because it's been repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated, and when something is repeated so many different times, you tend to just only think about that beginning. That beginning. You tend to only think about that beginning. And you may or may not dissect what happened right before that. Because if you read a Bible, it says in the beginning. And I used to ask my uncle all the time, well, what happened before that? How did the beginning even start? Where does that come from? He used to kick me out of his office all the time. I've been like this since I was a baby. It's not going anywhere. You know, if you don't ask a question, then it remains unanswered. And you follow the what? The program. And so a lot of Black people don't understand that we came from kingship and queenship. When you see movies like Coming to America, and you see Black men and women adorned in fine jewelry and layers of clothes, suits, big dresses, where they live is a castle. Wild animals are walking with them. None of that is fake. Google Shanghai. When I was younger, my uncle used to Buy me National Geographics. Songhai, sorry. Maybe there's something there. Because even martial arts was formed by black people. You can Google that too. You can find as many history books as you want, and you can look up every single existence that there is, and it will always root back to Africa. Say what you want. You can argue. You can do whatever you feel like doing on your side. I'm not urging you to get upset. It's nothing to get mad about anymore. The earth is now in a place of revealing herself and letting you know exactly who she is, what is supposed to be going on, you know. Oshun is supposed to bring us water, is bringing fire. She's released herself, and there's fire everywhere. Why do you think? Why do you think the city of angels is on fire? How deep do we need this to go? I don't know. And maybe it's just that there's just a huge lack of understanding, and some people just really don't know. So let's just talk about it, because that's the only way clarity is going to come, is if we talk. I like to talk. I like to bring clarity to a lot of different things. It helps. A lot of people are afraid of it. I understand, because it's a possibility you're not hearing what you want to hear. But you may not. It's not about what you want to hear. Maybe that's just the biggest point about all of this. It's not about what you personally want to hear. It just ain't. I'm sorry that this dragged on. Maybe I'll chop it up so that the video can be a little shorter. But I'm not going to leave my points out. If you got time, you can listen. You got 30 minutes or an hour to bullshit, playing games, watching porno, watching trash on TV that keeps programming your mind to think about everything except for your own soul and yourself, then you got 30 minutes to an hour to listen to this. That's me telling you this in my mother voice. Did I just curse? I don't know. Anyway, so the Black Mom's prayer is very vigilant. It's very layered, because there's so much trauma that has to be prayed around to get to the main reason of why we pray. How many people that are Caucasian actually pray for protection, or pray when they get behind the wheel? Oh, please let me not be stopped by any racist cops today. If they do stop me, Lord, may I not be a story on the news. If they do stop me, Lord, may I not be violated in any kind of way and nobody knows about it. You know, on vacation, Lord, I'm going somewhere where, you know, there's a lot of people that don't look like me, but I want to see the land that's so beautiful that you created and put us on. I just want to explore this place and mind my business. Lord, please don't let me have to step into racism or step in the direction of anybody that's racist that I might not see coming. You know. However, white people can randomly start moving into a black person's neighborhood, and the black person will just look at them, and they'll walk their own way. You'll hear them saying nothing derogatory to them. Get out of my neighborhood. You don't belong here. You don't see them burning crosses on their front lawn. You don't see them saying or doing anything that's going to cause them any type of harm to them or their children. You don't see rocks going through their front window. You don't see anything like that towards them. But y'all do it and then call us violent. And then my own people get upset when we talk about, when mothers talk about, when black people talk about stopping black on black crime. You know why? Because black people aren't the origin of violence. We're just not. We're not the race that teaches hate. We're not the race that teaches hate. We're just not. And so when you start talking about violence and all of that, there's a lot of love that comes from black people. That's why black people are so willing to get along with others. The deepest, 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 deepest untainted part of our heart just wants everybody to love. And because this is the devil's playground, he don't want, I guess, people to be that that loving. I don't know. And because there's a new heaven and a new earth coming, the time is running thin. These things have flared up. And these unbelievable things have happened and continue to happen to keep that program in place. The Black Mom's prayer is far different than the white mother's prayer. It's a cry. It's a cry. It's a soul cry. It's a soul cry that becomes a song, you know. And I always wondered since I was a baby, but what's happening up in heaven? What's taking so long? Why haven't we been avenged yet? Why haven't we seen the glory part that y'all keep talking about? Why haven't we been justified? And why do we keep seeing all these different things happening? Why do we keep having these experiences? Why doesn't anybody care about us? You know, why can't we just be free? Why can't we live in nice neighborhoods? Why can't we drive nice cars without being stopped because it's too nice and we're too black? Why is it that when we move into neighborhoods that other people aren't familiar with us being moved into or having access to, they ask, their first question is, do we deal drugs? Are we doing something that's criminal? Why are you that concerned about what I'm doing? Why are you that concerned about who's moving into your neighborhood? Do we bother you when you move into ours? Nope. Do we harass your children? Nope. Do we call them honkies? Nope. But do you teach them that it's okay to call them niggers? Yep. You know why? Because you don't stop them from doing it if you find out that they did. And if any type of instance, say for instance, if a black kid and a white kid was at school, and because the white kid might be influenced by other white kids, they may call a black person the N-word, and they get into a fight, you will hope that this is not the case, but a possibility is the parent will get mad that the two were fighting, and the Caucasian parent may not correct their child and saying, well, you shouldn't have called him that because that's a very offensive word. And it's a lot of things that come with being called that. And anybody that you offend is going to defend themselves. Instead, they're going to say something like, well, that's what they acted like, so I guess that's what you call them. Or they're not going to say anything, and the child is going to repeat that word to yet another person, and it's going to be another fight and another fight and another fight. Because why? Because the program was allowed. The other thing that I was going to talk about was the black on black crime and why my own people get upset behind it. You cannot get mad at that. You have to understand that we were not the person, we were not the race of people that insisted on violence being the answer. We're not the people that rooted that. We're the people that rooted peace. So yes, it's always going to be a damn question because it's part of the prayer. Why do my kids have to go out of the house and look over their shoulder when we're in our own neighborhood? Because somebody in the neighborhood might be jealous, or somebody in the neighborhood might be upset. They just might be angry that day, and my child becomes a target, or your child becomes a target, or your family member, or your friend, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It needs to be a seed planted for us to not be violent anymore. And you know where it plays itself out the most? It plays itself itself out the most towards white people. Because if a white cop comes up to somebody that's black, the black person becomes subject to whatever that cop says. They know their rights. They stand and argue back and forth with them, but they know that that cop has that gun, and because they're white, they just might get away with it. That is not right. I'm tired of this shit. We need to have a larger heart when it comes to protecting our own, period. That's with or without white people. Everybody is out here borrowing from us. You know how you see that 5G commercial where there's a big bright light and then there's a bunch of stems coming out of it? That's Africa. And everything else stems from there. So why are we so afraid? Or why is a large majority of people so afraid of these races that borrowed from us? And like I said before, it's not to cause division, it's to bring truth. The earth is already upset. And it's burning places uncontrollably. And it's burning places and ruining places where it feels the most erupted. It's correcting itself. It's like the earth is on her menstrual period. There's so many deep things that need to be discussed, and I mean, this is deep. It's just deep. You'd be surprised how relative the things are that are, you know, directly around you. And the thing is, black people, when you begin to learn your history, your African history, not your American history, because your American history teaches you that you're a slave. That's why American history is a subject in school, because as long as you're subject to that subject, you'll keep believing just that. Why haven't they made African history a part of school system? You ever wonder why? You ever bother to ask? This video is getting a lot longer than I intended it to, but whatever. A whole lot longer. Maybe I should have just did this live, but my calls and stuff coming through, so whatever. So many different layers, so many different things to work through. They have a direct effect on how we treat each other, even in our romantic relationships. The degradation that women have to suffer. The ones who are praying the most, feeling their feminine energy, understanding that, yeah, there are traumatic attachments, but prayer is the thing that will help us through all of it. And not being honored, and being disrespected, and being called bitch, and being called this, and being called that, and wanting to just be fucked, and not wanting to be taken care of. Watching other men be disrespectful in the street, and you, it's not my business, but then you sit there and you want somebody to protect your daughter. You want somebody to protect your family, and you be the first one that's willing to go to jail if somebody do something to somebody and one of yours. But you don't understand that that story is the same for everybody else. I cussed again, didn't I? I gotta finish cooking. I I prepped everything and didn't even turn the stove on yet, so I should probably do that. I wanted to open this subject up because we need to talk about it. And we don't need to live inside of it. We need to change it. Some subjects, when people start talking about them, they think that it's just so we can sit there and woe and, woe is me, and let's just stay stuck inside of this energy. And that's exactly how this bullshit continues. Sorry. Now that time I know I cuss.